today, um, mainly because it has been what I've been focusing my service year on with Kentucky IPL. So it's really exciting that we're getting a lot of progress done on it. So I just want to start by telling a little bit about Kentucky IPL in case maybe you've heard about us, but you're not quite sure what we do or what all is happening with us. So essentially our mission is to mobilize a religious response to climate change. And we do that in three ways: through advocacy, education, and action. And particularly, we do all of these things in service to communities that are impacted by social injustice. So a bunch of words to basically say that we hope to kind of find a niche within faith communities that care about eco-theology and care about taking care of people and taking care of the earth and how those two ideas coincide. We do this in a couple ways in living out our mission. One of our biggest ways is our partner communities. So we partner with congregations all across Kentucky, and they join a network where they can meet and talk to and share ideas with congregations and faith communities every single month. And we provide resources and they give us resources, and it's a really great relationship. We also have a Green Leaders meeting, which is people who are part of like sort of green teams in their faith communities can join the Green Leaders meetings and then be up to date on anything Kentucky IPL is doing. We have something that's called the 2K for 5K solar program. Faith communities sometimes don't necessarily have all the funds to get solar energy like large arrays right away. So we help them get smaller ones. And then we're a part of different networks like USCAN, SEN, Kentucky Solar Advocacy Network, and then also this outreach. And like I said, we're trying to help faith communities live out their own mission. And so we believe in a lot of, in the Christian faith, that you must love your neighbor as yourself. And, that's actually a sentiment that's valued over many different faiths as well, kind of this idea of taking care of people. And so the energy outreach kind of came from this idea of how do we take care of each other. And I think faith communities is really at the heart of this outreach, and why faith communities, well, they're a really important part of communities and often untapped as change makers. I mean, faith communities often serve as, the heart of where children grow up, where people get married, where there's community gatherings and potlucks. And so faith communities are a really important part of people's daily lives. And that can be really impactful, especially, when there's stakeholders in legislative matters. And we have this database that we use to connect with congregations all across Kentucky. And in Louisville alone, we've identified 827 faith communities. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about the criteria later, but we've identified 130 that fit the criteria for this outreach. So that's quite a large number, and a large number of places that are really important to the people who attend these places or are a part of these communities. So this outreach specifically focuses on targeted communities that are disproportionately affected by pollution, because we believe that those communities that are targeted, which often end up being low-income communities, communities with Black Kentuckians, Kentuckians of color, they deserve our attention when focusing on energy issues. And so we hope that with working within faith communities, within these kind of larger targeted communities, that we can directly identify individuals and communities that really need help, and people that are already kind of at that step of taking care of each other. So what is this outreach that we're doing? So these are our W's, as I like to call them. So we're going to work in priority zip codes all across Kentucky. So the zip codes are determined. We take an area or a population. Since Louisville is so large, we kind of broke it down to just Louisville for this first outreach. And so within the zip codes in Louisville, we have determined using the U.S. Census priority zip codes where the median income level is considered at poverty for a family of 4. There is quite a bit of leeway there because what the U.S. Census determines as the poverty level is definitely not what we at Kentucky IPL believe is the reflective of people's situations. So there's a little bit of difference there, but like I said earlier, just by going off of that, that's already 130 faith communities in Louisville that fall under that zip code. And again, faith communities, and I've kind of touched on that about, we just believe that they're an important resources to people. And, if you can tap into a faith community and get a faith community to adopt those values, then the individuals a part of that faith community can go off and live those values in their own life. And we're gonna, I've been doing a lot of the planning for it right now. So we're hoping in the fall and winter to really kick it into high gear. And this is also because, a lot of people's energy bills go up in the fall and winter as it starts to get cooler and your heating costs go up. So we're hoping by doing it during that time, we'll have more people who might be interested in participating. So the main goal of this outreach is to increase energy efficiency, but a lot of things happen when we help faith communities increase energy efficiency. And so, the main goal is obviously to increase energy efficiency, but, when we help congregations do that, we also allow them to free up more economic resources for other activities. And we recently talked to quite a few congregations back in January when we were kind of planning for this outreach. And, a lot of congregations, their energy bill is one of the highest costs they have as a faith community, especially because quite a few faith communities reside in aging or old buildings that make it difficult to kind of keep up with the cost. And then, of course, you have just, over the years, how energy rates have gone up. But then also throughout all this, we want to strengthen our community connections to everyone, and we want to keep expanding Kentucky IPL. That interfaith part is really important to us. And so it's not just about helping necessarily one denomination that maybe, their national denomination is really gung-ho for eco-justice. We want to be able to reach out and connect to all faiths. Especially because all faiths, like I said, do say something about caring for people or caring for the earth or respecting the earth. And so our next steps. So what I've had the really fortunate pleasure of doing this past year is I've been helping planning and getting funding for this outreach, which is the stage that we are almost past. It takes a little bit. And then next we're doing a postcard outreach. So kind of to break that down a little bit, we trialed this in Lexington with a few congregations and had a pretty good result. So we're gonna keep doing it. And basically what it is we send a postcard to congregations that list a lot of different ways that their building could potentially be energy efficient. Do they have an energy on it? Do they have insulated windows? How are their interiors, and just a bunch of different questions about water flow and whatnot. And so they're able to mark off the things that they do, and then they can indicate whether or not that energy bill costs are, kind of a big factor in their budget every year. And then they can also indicate if they want to learn more. And so we found that doing it that way in our trial period actually produces better results than just reaching out to the congregations and like offering this service. And I think I've learned why is because, one, money, like congregations want to learn how they can save money. But it's also kind of interesting too, because I think some of these congregations don't realize that, they actually are kind of doing some of these steps, but maybe they haven't taken the next step. So after we send out the postcard, we actually do individualized phone calls to everybody and connect with them, connect with either their secretary or if they have an outreach person. And then through that, we're able to give them resources based off their answers. And then what the Louisville Sustainability Council is helping us fund is some energy efficiency kits, which I'm really excited to talk about. And then from there, we just keep building our relationships because the great part about energy efficiency is, those steps that these congregations can keep doing, all the way up to solar panels if they wanted to. So we're kind of just hoping to get in there and kind of get the conversation started for a lot of these places. So we're really thankful for the Louisville Sustainability Council to help us fund energy efficiency kits. So basically these kits are going to contain items and information to help faith communities address heating, cooling, water, and energy issues. So it could range anywhere from LED light bulbs, which are great, but also quite expensive, low flow shower heads and a couple other things to help them. And like I said, the postcards kind of help us identify what needs they have as a congregation or faith community. So being able to offer this to them is exciting. And we also include in the postcard, I forgot to mention that if maybe as a congregation, they are not ready for this conversation or ready to kind of engage in this, if they want to connect us to individuals who in their congregation that might be, because we definitely want to try to help just whoever we can. And so through all of that, after, they get the kits and they talk to us, we'll be able to maintain relationships with them. And, the very beginning, I talked about ways that we live out our mission. And so we hope that as congregations get connected to us and, kind of go through this program, that they stay connected to us. So whether that's becoming a partner community or being a part of our Green Leaders meetings, or even just attending Kentucky IPL events. Because what's really special is, I've gotten to attend quite a few of the Green Leaders meetings, and it's always so fun and such a blessing to watch as people kind of share ideas with each other and talk about, well, we tried this in our faith community. Have you tried this? And also to share kind of that space with each other, even sometimes as great things happen, or, with the pandemic and COVID, it's been really hard for some faith communities to really get their green teams going, to sort of have a space to talk about frustrations and lots of different things in the news. So really trying to build up that community is really special. So if you want to get connected to us, you can always email me. So my service year is until August. So if you are curious about this in any way, or have questions, or maybe even know the faith community that would want to get connected to us, or if you're a part of a faith community that might want to get connected to us, even if it's just to say hello and to introduce yourself, you're more than welcome to contact me. After August, you can contact info@kentuckyipl.org. And then to just follow along on social media, you can follow us at Kentucky IPL on all social media. There we do post updates about events that we're doing. And as soon as this program postcard rolls out, we're going to be posting updates about that. And we've already posted about the grant itself. Again, thank you. And so feel free to get connected to us. And we're a small team, but I'd say we get back pretty quickly. So
Thanks, Audrey. That was great. And I think there's no other organization like Kentucky Interfaith around. I think it's a really, really cool organization. So thanks for the work that you do for them, and on behalf of that whole organization. Very cool stuff. So now we are going to have Bennett and Stewart present on their funded project, the Jefferson Memorial Forest Electrical Vehicle Charging Stations. And this is also in partnership with Evolve KY. So take it away.
Well, so I'm Bennett Knox, and initially the grant from you all came to Wilderness Louisville Inc., which is actually the nonprofit partner for the project. I'm sort of representing them as executive director as part of my job at Jefferson Memorial Forest. So, but we are in partnership with the Evolve Kentucky. So definitely Stuart and I are going to kind of do a little bit of tag team here, as we've done throughout the project. So my role is really to talk about the place where we're doing the project and why it's important to us. And Stuart really is the guru on all things electric vehicle and what it means from a sustainability standpoint. So we're really excited about the partnership working together. So I do have that's my introduction to me. I'm Bennett Knox. I work for Louisville Metro Parks. I've managed Jefferson Memorial Forest for 20 years. And then for the past 8 or so have been involved with starting Wilderness Louisville, Inc. So I guess before maybe we start, Stuart, are you there? Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm here, and I apologize, but I'm gonna have my video off because my internet for some reason tonight is really wonky, and I've been kicked off a couple times, and this is working, so I'm gonna stay with this. But yeah, I'm the co-founder of Evolve KY, which is Kentucky's nonprofit electric vehicle group. And we do a lot of things. We have monthly meetings. We started with maybe 6 people at a monthly meeting, and we've grown to, I think, easily 160 or so paid members for our group. Our first year, we put in our first charger in downtown Louisville. And now we are happy to say that we are up to, this past month, 35 locations and 80 chargers out in the community. So we have been growing like crazy, and our mission, in a nutshell, is to show folks and businesses the benefits of driving electric as a cleaner form of personal transportation. And we try to have a lot of fun with that. So.
Well, so thanks, Stuart. So we have a bit of a PowerPoint, a brief one, but I hope we can diverge off of that and answer questions and have some discussion. But let me share my screen if I can. Okay, so yes, the project that we were thankful to receive, I think it was $1,000 from the Louisville Sustainability Council to support is installing this dual charging station at Jefferson Memorial Forest through this partnership. And scroll down. There we go. So Stuart talked a little bit about what Evolve Kentucky is. Don't know, Stuart, if you want to say anything more about that. I mean, I know you all, is this part of a national group, or is this completely homegrown in Kentucky?
Yeah, I would say most states, if not all states, have an EV group. We are a little unusual in that very few of them, I think, are nonprofits on their own. And we may be the only one that have been as ambitious to take on the charging, the adopted charger part of this in a big way. And that has a lot to do with the fact that there wasn't a lot of infrastructure here in Kentucky. And one of our big goals was to change that. So.
And you have been doing so.
Yes.
So this was a slide showing the locations that they've worked, and this is a little outdated, I believe, too,
yes.
Right, Stuart?
Yes, it's outdated. Like I said, 35 locations, and I think one of our biggest success stories just recently is the town of Berea. I mean, we're basically electrifying the town of Berea. Their police force, they contacted us. Their police force got Tesla Model 3s for police cars, for their police vehicles. And we installed chargers for the police department there for their use. And we've installed chargers out in the community for a total of 16 chargers in the city of Berea. So we are out there to make a difference, and we've been working hard. So.
And so the project that we have, I think the next slide is going to really show why it's been important, because you can see this map has a lot of locations around town, centered on downtown, Highlands, out in East Louisville. But then if we go to this map, and this was really when Stuart approached us, it was all about trying to, why come out to the Jefferson Memorial Forest? Well, when you look at this map, you can see where we have some gaps in the community. So Stuart, you all had this really approached us, I think it was maybe 6 years ago, back when we were, as part of Parks, we were in full discussion about the Louisville Loop. The planning was going on for that in its earlier stages, which has still continued. And that Louisville Loop goes from downtown along what was the old the River Walk out towards Southwest Louisville, towards Farnsley Mormon Landing. So I remember we first spoke to you. It was about, could there be some locations along the loop? And we at one point talked about, could there be a location at Riverside Farnsley Mormon Landing? And because we had a lot of planning in flux, I don't think we at Parks were really able to commit. But at the same time, we had this project out at Jefferson Memorial Forest, which was in its early planning stages, and we had a little bit more control to look forward out at Jefferson Memorial Forest. And so that's what we did. But Stuart, I know you talk about this map and where this data comes from.
Yeah, I think this is from PlugShare, which is the app for folks that either have EVs or are interested in getting EVs. It shows you where the charger locations are. And indeed, a lot of our chargers are at coffee shops, kind of places of, like Bardstown Road, we have a few. We have places that are, you can go get a meal or get coffee, shop. But we also, from the very beginning, felt it was very important to have chargers in natural areas. And we got a dual charger at Bernheim, and we're actually talking to them about putting more chargers in now because they're getting used constantly. We have chargers at Udell Gardens, we're very proud of. And Jefferson Memorial Forest is a personal favorite. And like Bennett said, it's out in an area where there aren't a lot of chargers. We've found that people will go to places because there's chargers there, and whether or not they can charge is kind of besides the point, but you get the people there, and it just kind of promotes the whole thing. And people will be passing by the signage for the chargers and say, either now or soon I'll be looking for a car, and this might be a real possibility. So it kind of jogs people's minds a little bit about the possibilities of going greener. So it's been a very rewarding project.
So I'll just going to go back one slide here. So you do see at the bottom of the map, there's Jefferson Memorial Forest. So you can see right now the park is 6,800 acres. For those of you who aren't familiar, it's Louisville's largest park. We really call it the forest because it's really more of a natural area in whole, preserving 6,800 acres. It is pretty well accessible to the community. So one of the exciting things about this project that Stu really mentioned was the fact that people can find us. So you can have people traveling along I-65, going north and south, and if they're planning to stop somewhere in Louisville, and they're also looking for a charging station, well, they were really pretty convenient to them off of I-65. So that's great. And then just really, you can see from this map that how close we are to the neighborhoods in Southwest Louisville and South Louisville. So there's just a lot of people who can really access this park, and we're really excited about having one more amenity that will draw people to it. Sorry, I've got coming off a little bit of a cold here, so I have to drink some water. That's my green drink today. So as far as what we were trying to tie into, we have an area at Jefferson Memorial Forest called the Tom Wallace Recreation Area. It's the first part of the forest that was established in 1947, and it's really our most popular recreation area, although it really hasn't had much investment in quite a while, really since the mid-1980s. So it's really overloved, I think is the phrase we use. It hasn't been, like I said, the investment hasn't been there since the mid-90s or mid-80s, but it's got a very popular fishing lake. And so we had a master plan done in 2009 that really is as a result of some decades of land acquisition. Finally, we could literally look at the forest as a connected whole, even though we still have a lot of end holdings and acreage that we still need to acquire. at about that time, everything was at least in some way connected, at least by a connector trail of some sort. So we started in 2009 to really reimagine the forest master plan in a way that they could think of it as a whole. So that's where this plan, excuse me, this plan comes through. If I showed you the overall master plan, what you would see is that the really Tom Wallace area is very close to Fairdale. It's very close to our existing Welcome Center, which you see there to the right of the screen. And some of the other improvements that we had planned are to get people closer to neighborhoods. So some of our planning called for our environmental education facilities, for instance, to be moved closer to Tom Wallace Lake. Sorry. And really just focus on investment in this Tom Wallace recreation area as the key amenity that would draw people. So that's where this project comes in with the charger. One of the issues with our park here was that all the amenities are in the back of the park towards Tom Wallace Lake. We really didn't have anything in the front of the park closest to the Welcome Center. So you may know that we have had, in the past few years, there was a zip line that was put in at Jefferson Memorial Forest. Unfortunately, that hasn't been as productive as we had thought, and it may actually, it has been closed for 2 years, and it may actually not reopen. But that aside, we were trying to focus amenities in this front part of the park. So the plan that we have today calls for a parking lot that's closer to the Welcome Center. It calls for a full-blown nature play area. I know you're hearing about one at Burnham that's getting ready to open. We also have plans for one at the forest on a smaller scale, but really something that would be inviting to families who want to visit the forest. And that would be in this location. So we're really looking to create a more holistic park here, recreation area that serves a lot more opportunities for folks to enjoy nature, not just the lake for fishing, but also for passive recreation and play. Excuse me. I have to explain, I went to Maine. The first thing I did on my first day was live mic karaoke, and I think I caught a cold. So I don't recommend going to Maine and doing karaoke if you can avoid it. So, there we go. So anyway, this shows Tom Wallace, gives you some background on what we're trying to do and why we're so excited about the EV charging station. And here's the location. So it's just going to be right, as I said, at the entrance to the park. This is the new parking lot that we're proposing, which will have a lot more spaces, be suitable for those with disabilities. We'll also be able to bring in school buses that can come and turn around and enjoy the park as well. But what you see there, the line that crosses through, that is our main hiking spur. So it's the Siltstone Trail. And from there, it crosses the road to go to the Welcome Center. So really anybody coming to the forest for a visit, if they start at the Welcome Center, they are most likely to go across the street through this area to access Tom Wallace Lake. And in doing so, they'll pass by the charging station. So whether they're charging their vehicle or passing through, they're going to see a really cool installation that's new, and it's going to have some educational signage that Stuart has been working on with Michelle from Air Pollution Control District. And so we're just about ready to launch. This is the photograph of the location. You can clearly see the Welcome Center in the distance. So it's just a stone's throw from our main area, the visitor center. And this is the entrance as you come in. So this parking lot will be expanded, but it's still a very rustic location. And so the charging station is just going to be a great amenity.
And if I could jump in, give you a minute.
Please do.
Yeah, because we've been talking a lot. And again, I apologize. My internet's been really awful, so I don't have my video on. But there are a lot of exciting things about this project, but one of the exciting things that we haven't done before is we have dedicated what we're calling educational signage for this project. So in addition to our normal reserve parking and our sponsor signs, we have a additional sign, which is, I think maybe about 3 feet long by about 2 feet or so high. That's going to go in repurposed structure that's going to be, it's a little beaten up right now, but it's going to be painted and it's going to be installed. And it's something that we had a professional graphic designer put together. It looks amazing. I just got it, and it says at the top, "Why drive electric?" And in a very graphic, kind of way, because people are passing by, they don't have a lot of time to read tons and tons of text. It gives you, 3 different ways to see the benefits of driving electric. One of the things says EVs are more energy efficient. 80% of the energy goes towards turning the wheels compared to a mere 20% in gas vehicles. And it shows 80% and 20% electric versus gas vehicles in circles, I guess, representing tires. And then in the middle, it says the environmental cost of making an EV is paid for after just 20,600 miles of driving. By 100,000 miles, the total CO2 emissions produced is close to half of what it is for gas vehicles. And then it shows a representation of the tonnage. So you can really see that by driving an EV to just 100,000 miles, you're saving a ton of polluting. You're just doing better by the environment. And then where a lot of people really, what a lot of people really care about is their wallet. So the third graphic is electric vehicles cost about 3 cents a mile, while gas is about 12 cents a mile. Plus, EVs don't require frequent or expensive maintenance. No oil change, no engine tune-ups. So in very simple, graphic terms, and actually that last one, I mean, with the cost of gas being so high right now, it's probably even more favorable. It'll give people that are not only, plugging in and using the charger, but again, people that are going by, it gives them one more reason to take a moment and take a look at what's going on here, and kind of hopefully push them over the edge to go electric. So.
And so my last point would be, we're excited about how this supports our efforts to be more environmentally sustainable out of the forest. Certainly our mission is to preserve natural areas for use and enjoyment by the public. So we do a lot with removing invasive species, trying to reforest areas, purchase property to connect parcels of land for the future, not to mention all the environmental education programming that we do. And so just having this installation, it's something that means a lot to our staff to be able to say we've got this, and it's certainly something that means a lot to the folks that come out to the forest and want to see that our Parks Department is doing something to improve the environment, something substantial and something that's meaningful on the ground. So we're just excited about that, and the partnership with Evolve Kentucky has been great. And want to really thank Stuart for his work and pushing this all the years, because he really has pushed to make it happen on his end, and then the support from Louisville Sustainability Council as well as the Air Pollution Control District is pushing us over the line. So yeah, just appreciate the opportunity to come talk to you all today, and would be happy to answer any questions.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks for that, guys. This is amazing, and I don't know much about electric vehicle charging stations, but you said no oil change, and I perked up a little bit more. I'm like, well, maybe I really do need to be looking into this. But we do have some questions. We have a couple in the chat box, and I have some in my messages. And we'll start with you guys since you just wrapped up your presentation. Have you considered partnering with local groups like LCAN or Project Warm to identify or implement energy efficiency measures? Or have you encouraged them to benchmark their energy profile as an Energy Star platform?
Was that for us? I think that might have been for
Yeah, I think that might be for me.
Oh gosh, I'm sorry. Well, Audrey, if you want to hop in and answer that. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I can. And the answer is yes. Actually, we have spoken to Sarah Lynn over at LCAN about getting a bunch of congregations and faith communities on the profile or the portfolio manager. That way we can track and see how these congregations are doing, because the potential to expand it would be then to go back after some time and see how the faith communities changes have helped their profile. So yeah, that is in the works. Part of it right now is just, like I said, planning and getting ready for it. And then, yeah, definitely, because obviously outreach is better when you work together. So leaning into some community organizations to help with outreach is really important to us. And we have had discussions about it. So yeah.
Awesome. And kicking it back to Bennett and Stewart, what are your goal for the next 5 years as far as number of chargers you'd like to see in Louisville? And to tag on to that, I had a question. You touched on it a little bit, but how do you choose where news stations go throughout this city?
Oh boy. Well, actually, I'd like to move back to just really quickly. You mentioned no oil changes. I don't want to let that drop. Yeah, EVs are much simpler. So instead of having an engine, you have a motor, and you can kind of think back to like your grandmother or grandfather's fan. It just will go on forever, and that's what electric motors do. They go on forever. EVs are basically an electric motor, tires, and a battery pack. And it is superior in that there's much less that can go wrong. And I speak from experience because I've had many gas and diesel vehicles that have had plenty of things go wrong. So EVs don't require oil changes. They don't have transmissions. They don't have spark plugs or glow plugs or exhaust systems. Virtually all of the things, belts, that could go wrong are not included. So, for example, I have a 2011 Nissan Leaf, 2011, and the most expensive repair I've had in my 2011, again, Nissan Leaf, is the motor for the passenger side window went. It was about $250. Yeah, wow, I was right. I've had a Volkswagen Jetta where one day all of a sudden the transmission goes and you don't get any notice, and it's $3,500. I loved the Jetta until that point, I think. So EVs in a way are superior, in a lot of ways are superior, and they're really kind of, if you will, kind of coming of age, and they're out there in full force right now. So that's I just wanted to not let that drop. As far as number of chargers, that's so hard to say because we started out, I think our first year we had one charger, and that we installed, and that was at the Green Building in Nulu. And then we just kind of, next year we had 2 or 3, and the year after that we had 2 or 3, then maybe we had 6. Like I said, we just had, the town of Berea, 16 chargers. So it's really growing, and we're getting to the point where folks are contacting us. We have places of worship. We have a Unitarian church. In E-Town, there was a congregation that contacted us for a quote on getting chargers out there. So faith-based is perfect, because again, caring for the earth is a big thing, and EV chargers are very noticeable and typically cost a lot less than a solar installation that you'd put on your roof, and can make a big difference. So I don't necessarily want to speculate as to how many chargers. I know that in the next few years, a lot of chargers are going to be going in because the state has acquired some money, for doing these things. And, there's just going to be a demand. The current administration is talking about potential, cash incentives for, buying EVs, maybe even like a trade in your old car for an EV, all those kinds of things. And time will tell if those things happen. But the cost of EVs are coming down, and their abilities are increasing, and it's just a superior vehicle. So most people will be able to charge at home, but it's great to be able to go to a place. There's one place, Mount St. Francis, that we have 2 chargers at, and we'll go there, we'll plug in, we'll often see another car plugged in there and walk around. It's just one more reason for people to go out and enjoy nature, in this case with Jefferson Memorial Forest. And I think we need that now more than ever. So.
Amazing. And we have another question in the chat box, and then Audrey will kick it back to you. Barbara would like you to go over the CO2 numbers, and if you could say something about the impact of mining lithium.
Is that Audrey?
It's for you, Stuart.
Oh, for me.
It's Barbara Berman.
How you doing? It's good to see you.
Good to see you too.
I wish I could turn my camera on, but every time I do, my internet kicks off. The lithium thing, my gut reaction to that is that it ends up being in the press, and it seems like it's being blown out of proportion. I'm not quite sure by who, but you see these kind of memes with lithium mines and stuff. It's not the greenest thing, but it's so much greener than what is going on right now with petroleum products. And I think there is an effort and a thought to make it greener and to do better. So it's not, unless you're walking or riding a bike, I don't think there's anything out there that is free of, some of the dark side of transportation, which is unfortunate. But I think we're getting there. I think with EVs, you have battery packs that I don't think they have a ton of lithium. So that's one thing. And I think that we're talking about something that will last for a long time in your vehicle. Hundreds and hundreds of thousands of miles before you even have to think about the fact that you need to replace it. Or recycle the car. And then it's something that can be recycled. It can be reused in home energy uses, and it can be recycled for using again in electric vehicles. So as far as personal transportation, outside of, again, the greenest things that are, walking and riding a bike, I think that's the best we have right now. So, and it is getting better, and there is a desire for, those kinds of things to get better and to move away from any ingredients of battery packs that are less than desirable. A lot of R&D is going into that right now. So.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And Audrey, we have a question for you. How does a faith community know if they are eligible?
Yeah, great question. So they can contact me or connect with Kentucky IPL. Like I said, we pulled a bunch of data, and so we have a list of congregations that are eligible. But that is not to say, though, that if they aren't eligible for this program, that we don't want to connect with them. Because of course we want to connect with all faith communities if we can. It's just like I said, this program is specifically set aside for those communities because we really believe in pouring time and energy and resources into those communities, since in so many ways resources and time has been taken from them, whether that's health effects or whatnot. So you can get in contact with us, and we can just pull your information and see if your zip code lines up with the ones that we're working with. And you'd be surprised, actually. We're working with a large congregation that didn't think they qualified for the program, and then they did, just because of factors. So.
And what are you, also, if you could pop your contact information into the chat box so anybody can copy and paste it and save it for later, I think that would be helpful. We have another question. What are both your short and long-term goals with the outreach program?
I wanted to jump in because I don't think I answered half of Barbara's question with the CO2 part. I just noticed that in the chat. Because studies have shown that compared to gas or diesel vehicles, cradle to grave, so for the lifetime of the vehicle, even in states like that rely heavily on coal, Electric vehicles are about 50% cleaner than gas or diesel vehicles. So that's really important to kind of point out. A lot of people don't think of when you're talking about the gas pumps and stuff, how much goes into that as far as transportation, as far as electric use and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I mean, it was the Union of Concerned Scientists did a study years ago, and they're just so much cleaner, and they last so much longer than gas or diesel vehicles. So yeah, I didn't want to let that drop. So I'm sorry about that.
Stuart, what's the cost difference between an electric vehicle and just a regular gas vehicle?
It's it's kind of closing in. I mean, I think they probably are still more expensive, but not by a ton. And actually, if you factor in especially now with gas at like $3 or $3.15, I think, the gas savings and the savings, maintenance savings, which can be huge, and you're planning on keeping your vehicle for a while, that really catches up pretty quick. I mean, I just had a Chevy Bolt. It's the newest one. It's been redesigned for a weekend to drive. And I think that was the top of the line Chevy Bolt. I think the sticker on it was about $35,000, brand new vehicle. So it's not that far off from, a quote unquote typical or normal vehicle. And again, you'll be saving money if you're able to, especially if you're able to charge at home. We have all these free chargers out in the community, so that helps. We have one at the YMCA at Norton Commons. So before COVID, I would go there and work out and charge at the same time. So there are these resources out in the community. And what a lot of people don't even talk about is there's also a used vehicle market. So you can get a very capable like Nissan Leaf or something like that. I don't know what they're going for now. Now used and new car prices are pretty darn high because of the chip shortage and all that kind of stuff. But you could probably get one of those for 10 to 15 grand. And that will last you for a long time. And most people don't realize that the average daily commute, which is what most people are looking at, is 25 to 35 miles. So even first generation EVs can handle that pretty easily. And then if you need to go on vacation once or twice a year and you don't have another car, you just rent a car. But in the meantime, the rest of your year you're driving very cleanly.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
And what does the charge time look like on one of those?
If you have the ability to charge at home, so if you have a garage or off-street parking, basically you plug in at night, and in the morning you either have a full battery or enough to bring you through your day. So it's kind of like plugging in your phone. There are different levels of charging. So that's level 2 charging. That's like 220 or 240 volt. That's like your dryer or your oven. There's level 1 charging, which is like your toaster. And that's a lot slower. Still can be done. You can get about 5 miles per hour on level 1. So if you're plugged in all night, you'll get some miles there. And then there's DC fast charging or supercharging, which the cars do as well. So that's very fast. That's like maybe 20 minutes, something like that.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And Audrey, I realized that I skipped over a question for you in the chat, so I want to circle back. Can you share any results from the pilot project in Lexington? Did any of those congregations report savings and serve as a testimonial?
Yeah. So what's kind of fun about working with faith communities, but also can be a little different with working with other communities, is faith communities, they take a while to get back to you, which is kind of interesting this past year because they kind of work on like a month-to-month basis. But we were able to, like I said, do kind of sort of a pilot program while I've been here this past year. And more so with faith communities in Lexington that were kind of on stage 2 of what I would call like energy efficiency. So they were getting energy audits done and kind of doing a little bit more higher ticket items. And with those, yeah, we have been able to gather a little bit of information. I don't want to share too much because it's not a very large group. It's about 5 or 6 that we've been able to kind of gather information from. So definitely not reflective of like all of Lexington faith communities. But, working with those 5 or 6 communities, I feel like we've learned quite a bit. And I think the most exciting part though about those communities serving as testimonials is, kind of like when people go out and they talk to other people, they reference us. And I know like this past week, we've had like 2 different congregations in Lexington reach out to us about different energy efficiency things. And so it's kind of fun and exciting that people like to share what's happened and the great things that are going on. So, yeah.
Love it. And I just looked at the clock and it's already just about 7 o'clock. I can't believe it. So let's wrap up with one more question in the chat box. And that is, what's the status of tax credits on the EVs? Because that's a significant economic factor.
Yeah, that is, let's see, make specific. So like for Teslas, since they've sold so many, I don't think there are any remaining at this point. It's not a tax credit. It's actually, let's see, it is a tax credit. I was going to say it's a rebate. It's a tax credit. So Tesla, I don't think there's anything remaining. I think with Chevy, I think it's the full amount, which is $7,500. So like what I was telling you about the $3,500, that's actually something I should have mentioned to you. You can pretty much, if your tax situation dictates this, so that's very important. It's not a rebate, it's a credit. So if that your taxes are such, you could get up to $7,500 off of that car, in a credit. I would say most of the other vehicles like Ford, also $7,500. It's one of these things where it hits a certain level and it starts decreasing. And again, it's kind of a good problem to have, but Tesla, I think, has gone down to 0 because they've sold so many. But that said, they've also done their best to reduce the price of their vehicles because they realize that there's competition. So in this case, competition is a good thing. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. Most of the car manufacturers out there still have the full amount, which is great for buyers.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, we're just past 7 o'clock. This was really cool. Thank you for coming, and thank you to our presenters, Bennett, Stewart, and Audrey. This has been really informative. If you want to learn more about these projects and other projects that were funded by the LSC's Community Microgrant Program, I'm putting our website in the chat box, LouisvilleSustainabilityCouncil.org. You can read all about the programs. Their websites are linked. We will be opening the 2021 application window at our annual Sustainability Summit, which is very much in the works now, and you will hear more about that soon. And the best way to stay connected with us and everything we're working on is by following us along on Facebook, putting that in the chat box now as well. So if you haven't already, click on the link, go ahead and give us a follow, and you'll see all of our updates pop up on your feed. Thank you again for everyone coming. This has been great. We will be posting this recording on our website. It should be up by tomorrow afternoon. So if you want to rewatch, if you didn't take notes or you missed some information, no problem. It'll be up on our YouTube channel. So thanks again, everyone. We appreciate it, and we'll see you next month.
Thank you.
Thank you.